Okay, so we're going to start putting the head gaskets back together. Obviously starting with the cylinder heads on. We're using a Felpro gasket kit. I've already went ahead and cleaned up the head surface on the block. You don't have to get it amazingly clean, you just kind of want to get all the old material from the old gasket will stick on the block. You just kind of want to get that stuff off. I just use a little abrasive disc and just comes right off. You really want to make sure there's no coolant in the bolt holes. Coolant in the bolt holes will cause, when you do your torque sequence, it will cause the bolts to skip. So you don't want to do that. Make sure you get the bolt holes clean. You know, what I do is I spray brake clean down in there, and then I use a high pressure air nozzle and I just blast out. So it's completely dry in there right now. And then you want to lube the bolts here. You want to lube, you know, this washer. You want to lube the seat of the bolt, and then you want to lube the threads. So these are reusable bolts on the newer ones. Some of the older ones you're not supposed to reuse them, but these newer ones you actually can. So I opted to reuse them. Usually I always do. So just make sure you lubricate the bolts. I'm gonna get some stuff set up to get this head on. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the setup. We got the gasket on here. Obviously make sure you have your oil delivery hole here. You can put this head gasket on backwards. Make sure your oil delivery hole on the gasket is in the right spot. It says here Made in USA up on the gasket. Make sure that's facing up. Make sure you just got the gasket on correctly. I put a jack under the motor, and then you can see the motor mounts off a little bit. I used a ratchet strap here from that hole there to the crank pulley just to pull the engine over to give me more space to work on this side. And then here is the head. I've already got the bolts all oiled up. I use rubber bands on the bolts to keep them from protruding past the head surface. That way you can just put them on really easily. Otherwise these bolts kind of move around. Put a rubber band on them, it just creates a little friction to keep them from moving. I'm gonna try to do this in one shot here. Shit. Okay. Shit out of the way. Try again. Got this AC line here, gotta get underneath it. Difficult. Oh baby, there we go. Got it. Just get one of them started to hold the head. There we go. Okay, let me get some tools prepared real quick. Okay, got a ratchet 14mm 12-point. Just gonna get the cylinder head up. Kind of hold it there. And you gotta, oh, my air hose is hitting the camera. Get a little extension. Right now we're just running the bolts in to get them on. Because we're going to do the torque sequence after. And this Unless I can fit my ratchet in there or my torque wrench, I'm not gonna record this side because this side's just too much of a pain in the ass to record the torque sequence on. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, that head is on. It's not torqued, obviously, but.
Need something in a 2019 Titan. I was going to send you the fucking video.
Alright, so here's our torque sequence. Make sure you're doing the correct torque sequence for your vehicle because they're basically the same, but some vehicles are different. One thing I didn't mention on these bolts, if you're reusing them, these center bolts are marked with like a black marking on the end of them. Here we go. So that one is a center bolt. The center bolts get torqued down more. So if this is an outside bolt, these are the two center bolts. The center bolts are going to be A and B in the torque sequence. But this is what you're going to do. 30 foot-pounds, 70 foot-pounds. Then you're going to loosen them. Then you're going to restart your torque sequence. 7 foot-pounds, 22, 44 foot-pounds. Then 90 degrees, 45 degrees. And then the two center bolts are going to go another 45 degrees on those. And that's the torque sequence. And you're going to go A, B, C, D, E, F. So it's kind of like the two center bolts and then an X pattern. And honestly, the X pattern is not even super important. As long as you do it in a X pattern, you will be fine. It doesn't matter which way you do it. But we got our torque wrench set to 30, so we're just going to start this off. And hopefully, I can reach all the way down there for that bottom bolt. Oh, I do have enough room. Nice. What I like to do on these, when you ain't got enough room, is to reach down here and torque them like this. But, no, a little too far. 31.6. That's all right. Okay, that's what you'll do. I'm not going to record the whole thing. I'm going to just go ahead and do it, and I'll start up when I'm done. Alright, first thing you're going to do before you put this thing down and start working on the other side, you're going to want to put the valve cover on, because you do have to lift this engine on this side to put this on, so you may as well do it now unless you're doing a valve job. I'm not doing a valve job, so get your valve cover gasket on the valve cover and your tube seals installed, which they just slide on. Take your valve cover, slide it in there so you don't move the gasket. And then it's just the 6 10mm bolts, 3 on top, 3 on bottom. yourself 10mm shallow or deep, whichever you want. Draw them in evenly. Get that last bottom one. There we go. That's on. Now I'm effectively pretty much done with this side. You can release the tension on your ratchet strap if you did the same thing I did. Maybe this ratchet strap's junk. Okay, well, we'll just cut it. Don't need it for the other side, so I'm just going to cut it. Okay, let me set up for the other side. Okay, so we're ready to do the other side. Again, I cleaned everything up. I threw a little bit of oil in the holes for the bolts, and then I also lubed the bolts themselves on the head. I'm just going to grab the head and bring it over here, and hopefully one try this time. Slowly, I might have to, shit, I might block your view or something. Oh, come on. Damn gasket. There we go. Is it on? Okay. I think we got it. Yep, there we go. Pull the rubber band off a little bit. One bolt started. One of the dowel pin bolts, which are the two top ones, and that'll just kind of hold it there. Now, this head up, hold it. We're just running these bolts in to take up the threads. Now, we're not doing this any particular way other than to just get the bolts most of the way threaded in. I got oil everywhere, so I'm gonna shut this off for a second, clean up real quick before I start torquing. I figured just for a little bit of content for the video, I'm just gonna go ahead and show the torque sequence on the head. I already did the first part, the 30 foot-pound, 70 foot-pound, loosen the bolts. So right now they're loose. The next step is going to be 7 foot-pounds, then 22, then 44. I just skip the 7 foot-pounds because 7 foot-pounds is literally nothing, and 10 times out of 10 you will over torque them anyways. It's so minimal. 22. 22. 22. What? Technically 9.
What the fuck?
Well, I got 2 torque wrenches and Randall's got 1, and his is almost dead and mine are both completely dead. 44.
And how many do you need personally?
6.
He ordered our TV while I was up there.
Okay.
And Brandon just needs 2, right?
3. Okay.
Now, that Subaru right there, the blue one, is actually Nissan's.
Yeah, I know, that's what he said.
Okay, this is the oil filter for it. Good job.
What?
You get a top bolt for it, dog. Oh my god.
Okay, so the first step next is going to be 90 degrees on all 6 bolts.
Yeah, just Alec didn't do whatever the fuck he wanted.
Try to do it in one smooth motion. You can ratchet it, and in some cases you're going to see me, I have to, just because of the tight space. But you really want to try to get this, you know, 90 degrees out of one motion. See, because I'm like right there right now, I feel like. Yeah, so I'll push it a little bit further in a case like that. It says I went to 97. That's only because when this wrench resets, when you ratchet it, you don't ever go the full 90 degrees, and I know that because I've done a lot of torque to yield, and as good as this wrench is, it's not 100% perfect, so I'll always add a little bit more. There we go. Just a little bit, you know, I'm not talking a fucking crazy amount, I'm talking about a, you know, 1/8 of a turn. There we go. This one down here. So this, if you think about this as an angle, 90 degrees is going to be, you know, I'm completely vertical right now. So I should be at 90 degrees completely horizontal. Right there. See? Now I started a little bit that way, so that's why I'm not completely horizontal. I wouldn't perfect. But that's how torque to yield works, if that makes sense. It's best to think of it as, you know, 90 degrees is obviously the easiest because 90 degrees is just a right angle. So 45 degrees is half of that. So 45. 45 more degrees. 45. Went a little far that time, and you'll see me every once in a while. I'll also switch up my X pattern. Again, you know, you can go by Subaru and do them exactly how they say, but it doesn't really matter. There we go. As long as you're doing them in an X pattern and you're drawing that cylinder head in, you know. These bolts are going really well. Let's see. We're 84 foot-pounds on the middle, or on the outside bolts. You're going to be roughly around the same 80 to 85 foot-pounds on the outside. The last procedure for this torque sequence is doing the center bolts again another 45 degrees. So that's what we're going to do. I'm at 48. Those are 93 foot-pounds. .48 again, 91 foot-pounds. Don't be concerned if you're using one of these wrenches. I mean, I assume anybody who has this wrench realizes it's not a huge deal if you go over 2 or 3 and it goes in the red. But for those of you watching who don't realize, like, oh God, it's going in the red, that's a huge deal. It's not. You're talking the difference of a, 5 degrees on a turn. That's, maybe in most cases a foot-pound with where we're working at our torque. So let me get the valve cover ready. Go. Oh, hold on. I'll be done. Go too soon. Now put the valve cover on. Okay. Same thing. Reach down in there. Can't see, so there we go. Those are all tight. I've done a few things since the camera was off. All I've done was, I changed these O-rings out. They came with the kit. Those out. I did replace the VVT gaskets with the new ones. And I routed the coolant bypass, or not, yeah, the heater bypass. I just got to put that clamp on and bolt it in. So that's what I'm going to start doing. Shit. There we go. Okay. Now we can put the AC compressor back on at this point. Almost. Actually, we can't yet. Let's get the coolant bypass on. The coolant bypass pipe. Bolts should be right up here. Yep, here they are. You can lube those O-rings, or honestly, if you don't have new ones, you can just put RTV on them and they'll be fine. These ones here, I mean these two. There we go. bypasses on. Everything else is. Put some stuff away. I'm actually not going to put that on yet. I'm going to show how to put together the timing. Let me get the timing stuff ready. Let me get it all out real quick. Okay, so just ran to Napa, picked up a timing belt kit that came with all the pulleys. I'm replacing all of them. You can see like the seal on that one's kind of like starting to melt and shit's coming out of it. So you always want to replace the cog gear on these. This one's got 220K on it. Unless it was replaced with OEM, then this one's never been changed. So we do want to change this one for sure. The cog gears are really known for blowing up. So, and that one there. We're just going to change the whole thing. We got a whole kit. First thing we got to do is put the rear covers on. There's this one here that goes on this side. It actually goes like back behind the water pump like that, and then you just kind of push it on, and that's it. And these are the bolts. Now, there is a certain part about these bolts. You see how big the flange is, how wide it is? So this is a normal 10mm bolt. You see the difference? So these ones here with the big flanges are the ones go to these 3 bolts. You know, 3 of them go here, and then 2 of them go on this cover here that goes on the passenger side. So this bolt here does not go to those. It's these big headed bolts. Sometimes I'll actually put this piece on before I put the head on, but it kind of makes it easier to not have to fight with it around the casting right here. Also, I should mention on this vehicle, we're not changing the water pump. This has been changed before. I know that because I can see on the bolts where I can see they've been touched, and it has Japan markings on it, so I know it's an OEM pump. I'm not going to change the OEM pump and put an aftermarket one on there. So alright, that one's on, and then I hope you can see the other side here. Get this one here on. I didn't really clean these up. I could have, I just didn't. So this one goes on just like this, right in front of the oil filter. There's a bolt hole there, and then there's one here that's actually on the cylinder head. That's why you have to take this one off, because it actually connects it to the block. So if you try to take the cylinder head off without that, you'll be stuck. So okay, we got our cam gears. We're not going to do those just yet. We're actually going to do the pulleys first. I leave the bolts in the pulleys. That way, if and when I do change them, let me grab the kit. That way when you change them, because obviously the new kit doesn't come with bolts, you know which bolt goes where. I believe actually they're all the same. Nope, no they're not. The cog gear is longer. The other two are the same. So this bolt here, out of this one, take this one and get the placement right there. That's the new one. And this is a, it's called Loctite brand. It's Gates. So I don't know why they call it Loctite, but it's a Gates reboxed by Napa. So everything has Gates on it. Also, these bolts, I will always put Loctite on them. This kit actually came with some. I always put blue Loctite on them, which is actually what it came with. The 243, I think, is it what it's called. Yeah, 243. So, take your bolt and just put a little bit. You don't need to go crazy. Just put a little bit. And this gear goes right here. Cog gear next. Now the cog gear, this is actually kind of important. You can see this is different from side to side. This is different. So you need to make sure this one here, the bolt goes in the recessed spot. So this bolt goes in this way, like this. You can put it on backwards. You can put it on like this, and that will actually push that gear in too far. So you want it to be like this. Damn, I don't even know if you guys could see that the whole time. I hope so. Weird. I thought my camera just died. I don't know why it did that. This, I may have bumped it. I don't know. That was weird. All I did was put this gear on. That's all I've done. So next we're going to get the cam gears on. They take a 17 millimeter. Remember, the plastic gear goes on the passenger side, and there's a keyway there that lines up on the cylinder head, or not the cylinder head, the camshaft. So you can see that right there go on just like this, and you can feel it if you watch. Right there, it's on. So if I were to move it, you know, like this, it's not on. But if I turn it, right there, that's locked in. Now it's actually moving the camshaft. So I don't Loctite these ones. There we go. Same thing with the driver's side. You've got the dowel pin there, the alignment pin, and then there's a cutout right here on the right there on the camshaft. And this will go on. I'm an idiot. This will go on just like this. Just like that. There we go. Timing marks moved, which is fine. It's not a big deal. This one here, you're going to need a wrench to turn it. This one here will spin freely. That's normal. So you get a wrench on here. Pull that alignment pin back, or the timing mark back up. About right there. We're pretty close. Doesn't need to be perfect. Well, that's not true. It does need to be perfect, just not yet. So next thing we'll do is our tensioner. So this comes, you know, pre-put together. I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on this bolt. And this is what I found to be the best way to do the timing belt. You do this gear last. And I'll show you how. I'll make it make sense. Drop my bolt to that gear. These are all 14s, by the way. Now what I would recommend doing when you're putting this timing belt on is, grab it, oops. You got a directional mark, which is also your crank mark. So this is going to go lining up on your crankshaft right there. And that's what I'll always do first. Line up your crank first. Get my other pair of grips down there. And I will always go to the passenger side around. I'll show you what I mean. Hold this, pull the belt. Oh hell, I got this thing. Hold on a second. This one's backwards. Let's see. The short end, yeah, there we go. The short end comes here. The short end, I mean the distance between these dots to these dots. I haven't done this in over a year, so I wasn't sure which one it was. Now I know. So you're gonna line that up with your cam over here. And what I will do is I'll take a pair of vice grips. Now this is very important. Let's see. This is very important. You're just gonna want to grab this just so it holds it there. You do not want to put an impression in the belt. It's just there to hold it. Look, that's it. It's just there to put tension on it so it can't come off. That is it. Do not clamp down on the belt. Your belt will rip. Don't do that. Okay, other side. I'm going to come down around the cog gear. Oops. Come on. Oops. A little bit slacked over there. Man, this sucker is tight. I might have to take that tensioner back off and do it again, which I have had to do before with aftermarket belts. Sometimes you run into this. This is why I like to keep the camera rolling. If you run into this same instance, don't try to force the belt over that lip. Take this back off. I have ran into this before. Don't really have this issue with OEM stuff, but you do with aftermarket. Try to keep that O-ring on there. Now we're going to go get that lined up. Okay, and this one's always going to be a little funky. You'll see the line is like right next to where it should be. There we go. Make sure your crank's on still. It is. Put some more Loctite on this bolt. Luckily it hadn't cured yet. This here is the little bit of a tricky part. You got to kind of get this bolt started. Push down on the belt as you try to thread this in. Wrench. Can manipulate the cams a little to get some slack where you need it. Damn you. This is proving to be kind of a bitch. Where'd my washer go? It just fell. Hold on, let me find my washer. Okay, already got my washer back. Fell perfectly behind the cog gear there. Got it though. Make sure your crank stays on, which it is. You can, pull the tension out of the belt one way or the other, whichever way you can. That way you have tension, or that way you have slack there. It'll make putting this in, if not easier, possible. This is why aftermarket belts fucking suck. Subaru belt would just slop right on. No problem. Fucking aftermarket belt, this is what you face. This thing is very stiff. Got it started, but we don't want to. There we go. There we go. That's what you want. Go. Got to pull this belt out a little bit because it's actually not on there straight. This thing up a little bit. We're just doing that to get the belt straight on here, and it's still not perfect, but it's on there now, so that's what we want. Now blue Loctite, because that thing is empty. Pull this, pull up right here. You want to try to get all your slack down here now. That's the objective. So you can take your gear here and kind of bump it. Same thing with here, bump it this way. You want to bump that one that way, this one this way. That way all your slack is right here. That's what you want. You put Loctite on this. Blue Loctite. Now, this is the final difficult part. I will take the socket like this so I can start it. You want to take this and get it behind the belt, down here. You have to. Get that bolt hole lined up by looking down. You want to pull up on this gear, pull in tension on the belt. It's kind of difficult. So just to reiterate, when I put that on, I'm looking down right here, and you can see the back of that pulley. I hope, I'm not sure what's all getting picked up on here, but you can see the back of the pulley where that bolt goes in, and that's how you get that lined up. Oops. Now, final part. Double check our timing marks. We're to the right just a little. So everything's going to be the right just a little. That one is too. And so is this one. So I'll turn it back just to make sure that, you know, not make sure of anything, but just for show. So right there, we're 100% on. Now this mark here, this, like I said, this one, the mark is always to the right a little bit, but don't look at the one on the belt necessarily. Look at this one right here on the cam gear, is lined up with that. So that's good. And on the cam gear again, lined up with this crack on the block there. Not crack, but where the cam cap cover bolts to the block, or the cylinder head, right there. That's good. So your timing is good. There you go. I'm gonna take a break for a second, but that's how you put the time belt on. All right, so just continuing on here, we got the big cover. Go ahead and put that back on. Should slide on pretty easily. Then you got these bolts here that go all the way around, except for one of the bottom bolts is a small one. That bottom bolt is right here. So work that one. Try it now. There we go. One right down here. There's two left. There's one here and then one right there. Yep. These ones I'll feel for and get started by hand to ensure that I don't accidentally cross thread them. I'm very confident that I wouldn't, but I'm okay with starting these ones up here with the ratchet, but not the ones I can't see. Alright, put our small cover back on. Just like that. Again, as I said earlier, these have 3 of the large flanged bolts. They're all the same on this whole inner and outer timing cover, so you know, you use them wherever. You'll notice that these ones are clean, which if there's no rust on them, that usually indicates that these were the ones originally. They were inside the cover, and now I'm putting them on the outside. That's not a big deal. I actually do that on purpose. That way the rusted bolts aren't on the outside. Okay, now that that's on, get this front motor mount hooked up and throw our nuts and bolts on the motor mounts in the rear as well. Here's this bolt. This is the front motor mount bolt. Yeah, I might have to get that lined up. It's a little bit tweaked. There we go. Just tap this through. Might have to pry up on that a little bit. Don't try to force that through. You break this aluminum ear off. So what I'll do, pry up on that. There you go. Little geometry, physicology. Click. Oh, let me find these motor mount nuts. Oh, here it is. There's this one. And this one. What's up? Huh?
Brought it over here. You wanna look at it?
And this one?
Huh?
And this one?
Tight.
Alright, so somebody came in and started talking to me and took it as an opportunity to charge the camera up a little bit and replace the radiator. I suspect that the radiator was the original problem that caused all this. If you see the old one, you can see the staining on it. That seam had been leaking. You can see the coolant staining on the whole thing. And then obviously this mouth is all chewed up from corrosion. So, I don't know, there's the other side. Probably wouldn't do much. I suspect that the radiator was the issue. It was leaking and stuff, caused the engine to overheat. And that's what caused that little small spot on that head gasket on the passenger side that caused it to go. So, doesn't take much with Subarus, I'll tell you that. Take the crank bolt, take that out. Here Careful not to hit the brand new radiator. This radiator, I got it from Napa, is not the exact radiator. There is something different about it. You can see on this, there's no nipple right here. This one here, there is. So all I did was take a hose and I wrapped it and tied it. This radiator was like 118 bucks. The OEM one is like 265. So I will go with that. save more than, you know, double the money. So that'll do just fine. Intake bolts. Let's see. Let's get our AC compressor mounted up here. Get our 4 bolts for that. Here's 3 of them. Wait a minute. No, just kidding. They're actually right here. There's all 4 of them. The one with Loctite, this one here, goes back here in this back left corner. Don't ask me why, I don't know. I don't know why that one has Loctite on it. That one. They got one in the front here. These are all 14 millimeter. Okay, I'm gonna shut the camera off real quick and we get some stuff, get the next, you know, bit of stuff ready to go back on. So, all right, we got everything all set up. First thing we're gonna do is the harmonic balancer. We'll put this on. There's a keyway on it to line it up, which it should be at 6 o'clock. Not sure why that won't. Should be at 6 o'clock, which it is. Just being stubborn. There it goes. Put that on by hand first. Put that on. Got our 4 ignition coils. I know when I took this apart, I had mentioned one, this one here, which came out of this cylinder. I mentioned we were going to replace it. We're not going to replace it. It actually tested good. It still worked perfectly fine. The issue was that whoever had done the spark plugs last hadn't tightened the fucking spark plug. The spark plug was loose. So that's all combustion all around it. I'm surprised it didn't melt, but it didn't. So, like I said, because of that, we're just not really going to worry about it. They're easy as hell to change. If it does fail, you can just change it then. So, we've got, whoops, drop one of the bolts. I got 2 of the bolts right here. The other 2 should be up there on the cowl somewhere. Go ahead and bolt these on, and then we got to tackle the intake. And once the intake's on, I mean, that's all the hard stuff out of the way. Then it's just a matter of, you know, putting the accessories, the alternator, power steering pump, stuff like that on. Where'd I put them at? There. Actually got the wrong ones. These don't go here. These go in the oil, the filler neck. These are the wrong ones I grabbed. It's pretty easy to get them mixed up when every bolt on this damn thing's a 10 millimeter. As long as you notice before it's too late. coils are on. Get the intake gaskets ready because we're doing the intake next. You gotta be kidding me. Hold on, I think my gasket set didn't come with intake gaskets. Yeah, so the intake gasket, or the cylinder head gasket kit that I bought didn't have intake gaskets in it. So I had to go back and get some. I got them now. Got them changed. They're the rubber inlay gaskets that they actually go in the manifold. So that was awesome. Got them now though, so. Try to set this thing in the best general area, you know. Oh, I'm teetering on the EGR tube. There we go. Now we're pretty much where it needs to go. It goes right there. Yep, it goes right there. So don't plug anything in yet. Get this stuff out of the way. You want all this shit to be out of your way so you can get the metal brackets on that bolt the intake down. There they are. So you gotta put these on. It's one for either side. They're the same except for that right there. Which this one here goes on this side. It has the that harness clip right there. It clips into that. So this is your driver side metal piece. I hate these fucking things. They suck. You gotta like route the wires in them. They're just a pain in the ass. Stupid. Let's see, that one goes there. Up, clips on like that, clips on here, and then you got your, make sure all your harness is free. There should be a black coil connector. Yep, there it is. And then your oil level sensor, plug that in. You got your PCV line, might as well put that on. This thing is stiff. Man, that thing is stiff. Ow. Okay. Get our bolts lined up. This is the way I do this. I'll take them on a magnet like that. Reach down in there, line that sucker up, and then just kick your magnet off to the side, and the bolt will be in there. It won't be lined up perfect, but we'll worry about that in a second. Just want to get the bolts in their homes first. Okay, those are on. Try to get a few of these things started. Get the EGR pipe started. Wiggle the intake around a little bit. There we go. Get this PCV line on all the way. You want to try to do stuff in an order that you won't forget something. You know, you don't want to walk away from one side having not did something unless it's something you're also not doing on the other side. So try to plug all this stuff in. And then all you got left is your oil fill. Some dirt's landing in there. Looks like my light's going dead. Okay, got mostly everything on this side buttoned up. We're not going to start the bolts yet until we get the other side at least started. Camera to the middle. Start plugging this stuff in. Oil pressure sensor, crankshaft position sensor, engine coolant temp sensor, and this goes to the power steering pressure sensor. Got a few things over here. Get your bolts ready. 4 intake manifold bolts, and then there's one bolt that holds this oxygen sensor connector down. Start this one and tighten this one before you put that bracket on, because I believe it's in the way. You can still move the intake around, that's good. Take your other side here. You're gonna wanna lay that in there. This thing is stupid. You gotta get all these wires just right. I hate it. There we go. Got it. Plug our coils in. And we got back here, you've got a camshaft position sensor, oil pressure sensor, and the VVT solenoid control plug. There's 3 of them on this side, there's 3 of them on that side. I'm lacking with my camera movement. See, I got this side all buttoned up nearly. Go ahead and put your PCV hose on. Actually, I'm not going to do that yet. Put our bolts in. Intake manifold bolts. Oops, dropped one. Alright. Okay, got that good. I'll start on the ones in the center. Get them started. And go to the outside. These ones started. Don't run any of them down until you have all 8 started. Now I got these 4 started. All I'm going to do is come over here, same thing, start the center bolts. snug them down. There we go. We're basically done. Now it's just a matter of connecting a bunch of little small things. There we go. That on. Okay, now got coolant lines on the back here and PCV lines. Make sure to plug all those back in. You got a PCV line that goes to the intake. Let me try to move this around actually. See if I can show you back here. So you got your throttle body harness. PCV line here. Shit. Get that on. Coolant line. Get that on. And this coolant line's got a clamp on it. Get that on. Go. PCV goes up to the throttle body here. That thing don't want to go on. Come on, bitch. There we go. Got it. Now you got 2 bolts here. They're both the same, so one goes there. One goes here. Now you got on the other side more stuff over here. Obviously, ain't done yet. Yeah, knock sensor harness. There's a coolant line on the back, EGR here, the EGR tube. You got, this goes to the air intake box. You need to pull your vacuum boost hose over. Lower this down a little. This EGR tube is a 22 millimeter. I've got this little wrench I use to do this. Don't tighten it too much, it's plastic intake, I'm going to break it. Coolant hose on. This coolant line goes to the bypass right here. Oh, bitch. Everything's kind of a bitch. Put the clamp on. There we go. Plug the knock sensor in. I can't see. Oh, rolling the whole car. There. That sensor's plugged in. Let's see. That's our bulkhead connector there. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, that's the wrong bolt. It's not that one. This one here. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break here. I'm sweating my ass off, so I'll be right back. Okay, I just took a little 15-minute break. Just picking up where we left off. It's probably a good little word of advice is to, you know, take a break when you're at a stopping point. You know, don't take a break when you're like in the middle of something. That's just stupid. That's how you forget shit. I did all of the important stuff on this, which is what I wanted to do. Like, for example, if I hadn't tightened the EGR pipe, if I just hand threaded it and then walked away from it when I came back, could have not remembered and it would have been loose. So just make sure you're at a stopping point when you do that. That's for right now. I'm gonna get this throttle body on. Trying to remember which way this gasket went on here. Here it is. Alright. Got it. Ah, shit. Okay, let me just get these started on here. I got this gasket backwards, but that's okay. Bolt fill. Deep low. Come up front here. I'm going to go ahead and put the power steering pump back on. Dig it up out of here. These are the 3 bolts for that. They're all the same. They all have Loctite on them. I'm going to put a little more Loctite on them. Put the blue stuff. in there. Extension. These threads on this bottom bolt are kind of gummed up. It's not cross threading, they're just crapping the threads. I could have ran a tap down it, but honestly you want that there. Keep the bolt from coming back out, you know, so it's not going to hurt anything. What we got? I guess where that clicks on somewhere. Where will it click on it? Oh, right fucking in front of me. But there it is. We're gonna have to hit this spacer back. What's happening is, oops, that piece there is getting caught on this ear. So you see how it's sticking out a little bit. I'll hit it. Go. Just hit it. Now it's flush. Now this thing should kind of just slide right on. Get this bolt started. Okay, so just like that. Slide that in. Get this bolt out. Put it back in. Now you can route your top side harness. This one here, it goes under the AC line. I'm just fumbling everything. Clips into the metal piece on the intake, or this metal bracket on the intake. AC compressor. You got your S terminal up there on the alternator. And then you got your AC pressure sensor as well. goes behind there. Oh shit, wrong bolt again. This is a 10mm that goes down here to hold this metal piece on. Go. That. Put your idler pulley on. It's a 14mm. Tensioner is a 15. You grab the belt. Grab the belt. Not sure how this thing goes on. We'll find out. Nope, it's not that way. Oh, there it is. I'm gonna go like this. Go, belt's on. Grab a few more things. Coolant overflow bottle on. Actually, just kidding. What am I talking about? The fan's going before that, you dipshit. Got our wishbone on. The motor mount is here. Goes just like that. 3 bolts are all 14mm. They're all the same. Back on here. S terminal is a 12mm. Get all the fan shroud bolts and stuff ready to go. Let's see what else we got to go here. Got our fuel lines. The return line is the bottom one. The supply line is the top with a quick connect. Quick connect, not quick disconnect. made them easy as fuck to install or bitch to uninstall. There we go. Clamp on the fuel return line. Just about ready to put the fans on. Usually I like to put the fans on last, but it really doesn't matter. Get the stuff situated. All exhaust hardware for underneath. Just trying to get it all situated. Okay, let's go ahead and just put the fans on, I guess. Ah, fucker. This one with this piece here is the fan shroud for the driver's side. I don't imagine you could get them wrong, but I suppose you could. But one of them, the driver's side one, is the one that holds the reservoir. So make sure you get it on the right side. Plug the fan in. Touch it. Get our bolt started. Light died. Working as fast as I can. Not really. Okay, now we put the reservoir on. The reservoir, just kind of slide it down into the bottom. There's a the dowel pin down here that the reservoir has on the bottom. That piece there. Put that in the hole. Okay. And then it comes in on this side and then it clicks in. It's kind of a bitch. There it goes sometimes. And that's it. That's on. We do the other fan. Plug it in. Okay, get the upper radiator hose. That's on. Pull your mass airflow sensor wire out of there. Let's get the, I'm going to switch sides here. Get the air box on. Actually, yeah, we'll do the air box. Put that over there. Get the other part first though. There's a stud here that it lines up with a nut. 10mm nut goes on the inside. And it's got this long bolt that goes right here. air filter in. PCB line on. There we go. And then the air box clips in on the bottom, slides in, and then it clips over on the top, just like that. You got your mass airflow clip. Eight millimeter clamp. There we go. Got the 210 mils yet for the thingy. Alright, let me get all my shit situated. I'll be back just a second. Well, I'm going to wrap this video up right here. The only thing I have left to do, these two 10 millimeter bolts are all that I have left for the top side, and that goes into the filler neck that goes right here. So I'm gonna put that on. I'll show that. I got a new battery for this vehicle. You can see all the acid down there, and this is the battery I took out. So it's only 3 years old, not even. So I went ahead and got a new battery. I'm gonna put that in there. I'm gonna go ahead and show all this stuff, and then the only thing that's really left is stuff on the bottom side. You got your ground wires. They're gonna need to be reattached. I think one of them is broken. I'm gonna have to make a new one. Your two oxygen sensors here got to be plugged in when you put the exhaust back on. So I'm not gonna record that stuff underneath. That's just all you really got to do is, you know, the 6 14 millimeter bolts on the head, or nuts on the heads, and then the rear flanges got the spring bolts that are 12s and 14s. So go ahead and button this up. You got your fan guard here, your intake boot cover. Going backwards. There we go. You got your fan guard here. There's going to be a couple of plastic push pins. So I get those. Hope these are the right ones. There they are. These things are stupid. I hate push pins. Go. There we go. Fell right in my drain pan too. put it in by hand. I should have put this on before the intake, but sometimes it's better not to fight it. Get out of the way. Tried cleaning the battery tray up. It's pretty nasty, so and the hold down. I'm actually going to pause this real quick and try to clean this up a lot better, so give me just a second. Okay, so I cleaned up everything a little bit better, the best I could. So put this thing on here. This thing, when it actually originally came in, this hold down wasn't even installed in the right spot. It was like clamping the battery pretty much sideways. It was really dumb. I don't know who did it, but honestly, that's probably why I had the issues that it was leaking so bad, so fast. I don't know. I mean, I suppose the battery could have just been bad battery, but I kind of think it was probably because they were just clamping it. Battery hold downs are just supposed to hold the battery from moving. That's it. You don't got to clamp them in. As long as it can't move, which it's solid, that's it. You ain't got to run them things down, because then you end up rupturing the caps that are on top. Luckily this is a flat top battery, but like the old style with the caps on top of it, you run that thing down and you deform the top of the battery, and then the caps leak, and that's why you get acid everywhere. I'm just going to spray down the whole top of this battery with the battery sealer. Coat this whole thing. Acts as a neutralizer, so if anything that I may have missed, you know, obviously I couldn't get it all, I couldn't get it perfect, so I'll put that stuff on it, and it acts like a neutralizer, neutralizes the acid. So other than that, pretty much done. I'm gonna throw some oil in it, some coolant, fire it up. Oh, plug the oxygen sensors in. Almost forgot. But you can't even see what I'm doing. There we go. But yeah, I mean, we are pretty much done here. New radiator, new battery, new head gaskets, everything. So there you go. I'm gonna go ahead and shut the video off now. There's a few things you see that are missing. I just want to cover my ass a little bit. These right here, you know, they weren't there when the vehicle came in, so nothing I can do about that. This piece here, the intake, is also missing those, so not a big deal. That shit ain't, you know, it ain't gonna go nowhere. It ain't gonna hurt nothing. So that's it. Thanks for watching.